My wife accidentally texted me her plan to cheat me out of my own house, so I flipped the script, exposed her scheme, and walked away with everything. Completely changed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. 3 weeks later, when she walked through our front door with divorce papers, she got the shock of her life. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and I was sitting in the real estate office about to sign the final documents for our new house. We had been looking for months, and this place was perfect. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a nice neighborhood. The kind of place where we could build a real future together. At least, that is what I thought we were doing. My phone buzzed with a text message. I glanced down, expecting some routine message, maybe her asking how the closing was going. Instead, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Once he buys the house, I am filing for divorce. I will keep half. The timing is perfect. He is so clueless. He won't see it coming. I just need to play nice for a few more weeks until the deed is signed. I stared at the screen. Then I looked at it again. The message was clearly meant for her sister, but somehow she had sent it directly to me instead. My first instinct was that this had to be some kind of mistake or joke. But as I read it a third time, the reality hit me like a truck. My wife of 4 years was planning to divorce me the moment I finished buying our dream house. She was going to take half of everything, including a property I was paying for entirely with my own money and credit. The woman I had been sharing a bed with, planning a future with, was plotting behind my back like some kind of financial predator. The real estate agent was talking about property taxes and homeowners insurance. But his voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. I managed to nod and sign where he pointed, but my mind was racing. I took a screenshot of the message immediately, then another one. Then I forwarded it to my personal email just to be absolutely certain I had proof. When I got home that evening, she was in the kitchen making dinner, humming some song and acting completely normal. She kissed me on the cheek and asked how the closing went. "Everything is finalized," I told her. "We are officially homeowners." She smiled and said how excited she was about our new beginning. The same woman who just texted about destroying me was standing there talking about paint colors and furniture arrangements. It was like watching a master class in deception. Over the next few days, I watched her behavior with new eyes. She had always been affectionate, but suddenly she was being extra sweet, extra attentive, bringing me coffee in the morning, suggesting we watch movies together, talking about holiday plans. Classic manipulation tactics. She was buttering me up before the slaughter. I did not confront her. I did not lose my temper. Instead, I did something much smarter. I started making phone calls. The first call was to a divorce attorney, a good one. I explained the situation and forwarded him the screenshot. He looked at the evidence and immediately understood what we were dealing with. "This is actually attempted fraud," he said during our consultation. "She is planning to misrepresent the circumstances of your marriage to maximize her settlement. The fact that you have this text message completely changes the dynamic of any divorce proceeding." We started preparing a counter-strategy immediately. Since the house was purchased entirely with my funds and credit, and I had proof of her deceptive intentions, we could build a case that would protect my assets. More importantly, we could use her own words against her. The second call was to my bank. I quietly moved some funds around, opened a separate account, and made sure my direct deposits were redirected. Nothing illegal or hidden, just smart financial planning that any divorce attorney would recommend. The third call was to a private investigator. If she was planning something this elaborate, I wanted to know what other surprises might be waiting for me. The investigator started documenting her daily activities and communications. For 3 weeks, I played the part of the clueless husband. I went to work, came home, had dinner, watched Netflix, and acted like everything was normal. Meanwhile, my attorney was building an ironclad case. The private investigator was gathering intelligence, and I was systematically protecting everything I had worked for. She had no idea that her accidental text message had given me a 3-week head start on her divorce plans. While she was plotting in secret, I was 3 steps ahead, building a legal fortress around my assets and reputation. The hardest part was watching her perform this charade every single day. She would talk about decorating the new house, making plans for next summer, discussing whether we should get a dog, all while planning to take me for everything I was worth. But I kept my cool. I smiled, nodded, and let her think she was the smartest person in the room. Because I knew something she did not in exactly 3 weeks when she walked through that front door with divorce papers, expecting to catch me completely off guard. She was going to find my attorney sitting at our kitchen table with a counteroffer she would never forget. The next 3 weeks were like living in some twisted psychological thriller. Every morning I would wake up next to someone who was actively planning to destroy my financial future. And every morning, she would kiss me goodbye like we were the happiest couple in the world. My attorney worked fast. We filed paperwork to establish that the house purchase was made entirely with my premarital savings and assets. Since she had not contributed a single dollar to the down payment, closing costs, or mortgage qualification, we had a strong case for separate property classification. The beauty of having that screenshot was that it proved her intent was purely predatory. Most divorce cases are he said, she said situations, my attorney explained. But you have her own words in writing, admitting to a calculated plan to defraud you. This changes everything. Meanwhile, she was ramping up her performance. She started cooking my favorite meals more often, suggesting we take weekend trips to furniture stores for the new house, and even brought up the idea of renewing our wedding vows next year. The audacity was actually impressive. One evening, she was scrolling through Pinterest, showing me kitchen renovation ideas. "Look at these marble countertops," she said, snuggling up next to me on the couch. "Wouldn't they look amazing in our new place?" Our new place. She kept saying our like she had any legitimate claim to property she was planning to steal through legal manipulation. I just smiled and agreed that the marble looked nice. The private investigator's reports were revealing she had been meeting with her sister twice a week at a coffee shop downtown. Phone records showed multiple calls to divorce attorneys. She'd even opened her own checking account at a different bank. Everything was being orchestrated with military precision. But here is what she did not know. While she was planning her attack, I was building an impenetrable defense. I documented every expense related to the house purchase, every bank statement, every wire transfer, every piece of paperwork that proved the property was acquired entirely through my financial resources. My attorney prepared a postnuptial agreement that would need to be signed for her to have any claim on the house, knowing full well she would never sign it willingly. The most interesting part was watching her behavior escalate. As her timeline approached, she started dropping hints about our future and how lucky we are to have found each other. She would randomly tell me how much she loved me, usually when I was distracted with work or watching television. Classic guilt preparation tactics. 2 weeks into this charade, she suggested we invite her parents over for dinner to see the new house. "They are so proud of what we have accomplished together," she said. What we had accomplished. The woman who contributed nothing to the house purchase was already taking credit for the achievement. I agreed to the dinner. Why not let her dig her hole deeper? Her parents came over the following Saturday. Her mother gushed about the beautiful home you two have built together. Her father shook my hand and congratulated me on being such a good provider. They had no idea their daughter was about to execute a financial ambush that would make family gatherings pretty awkward. During dessert, my wife started talking about our 5-year plan, career goals, maybe having kids, possibly buying a bigger place down the road. She painted this elaborate picture of our shared future while secretly planning to nuke our marriage in less than a week after her parents left. She was extra affectionate. "I love our life," she whispered as we were getting ready for bed. "I love what we are building together." The next morning, my attorney called with an update. "We have prepared all the counter documents," he said. "When she serves you with divorce papers, we are ready to respond immediately with our own filing that includes fraud allegations and asset protection motions." By the 3rd week, her behavior became almost manic. She was constantly touching me, bringing me coffee, asking about my day with unusual intensity. She even suggested we plan a vacation for next month, knowing full well she would be long gone by then. The private investigator confirmed that she had scheduled her attorney appointment for the following Tuesday. Everything was falling into place exactly as she had planned it, except for one crucial detail she could not have anticipated. I already knew. On the Monday before her planned ambush, I told my attorney to be at the house by 5 o'clock the next evening. "She will probably come home around 6 o'clock in the evening," I said. "I want her to walk into a situation she is not prepared for." That night, as we were lying in bed, she was unusually quiet. I could practically feel the nervous energy radiating from her. Tomorrow was the big day. Tomorrow, she was going to spring her trap and watch me crumble. Instead, tomorrow, she was going to discover that her accidental text message had given me everything I needed to turn her own strategy against her. While she had been planning my destruction, I had been building her downfall. The irony was perfect. She thought she was the chess master, but she had actually been playing checkers while I was already 3 moves ahead. The final week, before her planned ambush, was when the mask really started slipping. She was trying so hard to play the perfect wife that her performance became almost theatrical. Tuesday morning, she made me breakfast in bed. Pancakes, bacon, fresh orange juice, the whole production. "Just because I love you," she said with this overly bright smile. This from a woman who usually grabbed a granola bar on her way out the door. "What is the occasion?" I asked, playing dumb. Do I need an occasion to spoil my husband? She replied, sitting on the edge of the bed watching me eat. There was something desperate about her energy, like she was overcompensating for something, which of course she was. That afternoon, I got a text from her while I was at work. Thinking about you. Cannot wait to get home tonight, followed by a heart emoji. We had been married 4 years, and she had never sent me anything like that before. The woman was laying it on thick. When I got home, she bought flowers for herself. For me, apparently. Thank you for the beautiful roses, she said, kissing me at the door. They are perfect. I looked at the roses sitting on the kitchen counter. Expensive ones. Probably $40 worth. You are welcome, I said, because what else was I supposed to say? She had literally bought herself flowers and was pretending I had done it. The level of manipulation was almost artistic. That weekend, she suggested we go furniture shopping. Now that we have the house, we need to make it feel like home, she said. We spent Saturday afternoon at various stores while she pointed out dining room sets, bedroom furniture, living room arrangements. This sectional would be perfect for our family room, she said, sitting on a leather couch that cost more than most people's cars. And look, it comes with a 10-year warranty. Our family room, a 10-year warranty. She was planning to divorce me in less than a week, but she was talking about furniture warranties that would outlast our marriage by about 9 years and 11 months. The sales associate started talking about financing options and delivery schedules. My wife was taking notes, asking questions about fabric protection, discussing color coordination, Academy Award level acting. Should we get it? She asked, looking at me with those big innocent eyes. Let us think about it, I said. It is a big decision. She seemed disappointed but did not push. Smart move. Pressuring me too hard might have blown her cover. Sunday night, she started talking about holiday plans. Thanksgiving was still 2 months away, but she was already discussing who to invite, what to cook, how to decorate the new house. Your parents have not seen the place yet, she said. We should have them over for Thanksgiving dinner, really show off our new home. Our new home. The property I had purchased entirely with my own money was somehow becoming ours in her mind, or at least in her performance. Monday morning, she left early for work, but texted me around noon, missing you today. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. The private investigator's report that afternoon confirmed she had spent her lunch break at a law office downtown while she was texting me love messages. She was literally finalizing the paperwork to destroy our marriage. That evening, she was extra clingy. She wanted to cuddle on the couch, watch romantic comedies, talk about our future. She kept saying things like, I am so lucky to have you and we make such a good team. At one point, she looked at me with this serious expression and said, You know, I would never do anything to hurt you, right? The question came out of nowhere. We were watching some mindless Netflix show, and suddenly she was asking for reassurance about her intentions like her guilty conscience was leaking through her performance. Of course, I said. Why would you ask that? No reason, she said quickly. I just want you to know how much you mean to me. Right. The woman planning to ambush me with divorce papers wanted me to know how much I meant to her. The cognitive dissonance was incredible. Tuesday morning arrived, the day of her planned attack. She was up early, moving around the bedroom with nervous energy. She spent extra time getting ready, changing clothes twice, checking her appearance in the mirror repeatedly. Big day at work? I asked casually. Just the usual, she said, but her voice was tight. She kissed me goodbye at the door, holding the kiss a little longer than normal. I love you, she said, looking directly into my eyes. Love you too, I replied, because that is what husbands say. After she left, I called my attorney. She will be home around 6 o'clock in the evening with the papers, I told him. Are you ready? We have been ready for 3 weeks. He said, This is going to be interesting. I spent the day at work acting normal, answering emails, attending meetings, handling routine business. But inside, I was counting down the hours until the confrontation that would change everything. At 5 o'clock in the evening, my attorney arrived at the house with his briefcase and legal documents. We arranged everything on the kitchen table, her divorce papers on one side, our counteroffer on the other. When she walks through that door, my attorney said, she is expecting to have all the power in this situation. Instead, she is going to discover that her entire strategy was compromised from day one. At exactly 6:15, I heard her car pull into the driveway. She was right on schedule. Time to find out how good an actress she really was. When the script got flipped, I heard her keys jingling at the front door, followed by the sound of her heels clicking across the hardwood floor. She was walking with purpose, confident, and ready to execute her plan. The plan I had known about for 3 weeks. Honey, I am home, she called out in that artificially cheerful voice she'd been using all week. Kitchen, I replied calmly. Her footsteps stopped abruptly when she reached the doorway. I was sitting at our kitchen table, completely relaxed, hands folded in front of me. Across from me sat my attorney in his navy suit, briefcase open, legal documents spread across the surface. The look on her face was priceless. Pure shock, followed immediately by confusion, then a flash of panic she tried desperately to hide. Her hand was still gripping a manila envelope that I knew contained divorce papers. "What is going on?" she asked, trying to recover her composure, but her voice had gone up half an octave. "Have a seat," I said, gesturing to the empty chair between us. "We need to talk." She did not move. Her eyes darted between me and the attorney, clearly trying to process this unexpected scenario. This was not how her ambush was supposed to go. "Who is this?" she asked, though she obviously knew exactly who he was. "This is my attorney," I said, "and before you ask, yes, I know about your little plan." The color drained from her face. She clutched the manila envelope tighter against her chest like it was some kind of shield. "I do not know what you are talking about," she said, but her voice was shaking now. I pulled out my phone and read her text message word for word. "Once he buys the house, I am filing for divorce. I will keep half. The timing is perfect. He is so clueless. He won't see it coming." She stared at me like I just performed magic. Her mouth opened and closed without making any sound. "You sent that to me by mistake 3 weeks ago," I continued. "Meant for your sister, I assume. But you hit my name instead of hers in your contacts." My attorney cleared his throat. "Mrs., I am representing your husband in this matter. We are aware of your intention to file for divorce, and we are prepared to respond accordingly." She finally found her voice. "This is ridiculous. That text was taken out of context. I was just venting to my sister about marriage problems. Everyone does that." "Really?" I said. "So when you said once he buys the house, that was just venting. When you said I will keep half, that was just casual conversation." Her lawyer coach deflection was not working, and she knew it. "Look," she said, setting the envelope on the counter and trying to shift into damage control mode. "Maybe we should discuss this privately without lawyers." "Too late for that," I said. "You have been planning this ambush for months, meeting with divorce attorneys, opening separate bank accounts, plotting behind my back. The time for private discussion was before you decided to commit fraud." "Fraud," she repeated, her voice cracking. My attorney leaned forward, attempting to claim marital property rights to assets you know you have no legitimate claim to constitutes attempted fraud. Your husband purchased this house entirely with his separate funds. You contributed nothing to the down payment, closing costs, or mortgage qualification. Yet your plan was to claim 50% ownership through deceptive legal maneuvering. She looked at me desperately. "This is our marriage, our home, everything we built together." "What did we build together?" I asked calmly. "Name one thing you contributed to this house purchase. $1, one signature, anything." She could not answer because there was no answer. "Here is what is going to happen," my attorney continued. "We have a counteroffer for you." He slid a document across the table. She picked it up with trembling hands. "This is a postnuptial agreement," he explained. "It clearly defines separate property ownership based on actual financial contribution. If you want to proceed with divorce, you will sign this first, acknowledging that you have no claim to property purchased entirely with your husband's separate assets." "And if I do not sign?" she asked quietly. "Then we file our own divorce petition," I said, "with fraud allegations. We will present your text message as evidence of attempted financial fraud. We will subpoena your communications with your sister, your meetings with divorce attorneys, your bank records. Everything gets exposed in open court." Her face went completely white. "We will also seek attorney fees and court costs," my attorney added. "This kind of attempted fraud can have serious legal consequences beyond just the divorce proceedings." She stared at the document in her hands. Her grand plan was crumbling in real time. "I need time to think about this," she said weakly. "You have had months to think," I replied. "While you were planning to ambush me, I was preparing for this exact moment. You wanted to play games with our marriage, fine, but you forgot one important thing." "What is that?" she whispered. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. "I am better at games than you are." The manila envelope she had brought home was still sitting on the counter, unopened. Her master plan had become completely irrelevant in the span of 15 minutes. "So, what is it going to be?" I asked. "Sign the agreement and we can handle this like adults, or refuse and watch your reputation get destroyed in public court proceedings?" She looked at the postnuptial agreement again, then at me, then at my attorney. The woman who had walked through the door 20 minutes ago, ready to destroy my financial future, was now completely powerless. Her hands were shaking as she reached for a pen. She held the pen over the document for a long moment, her hand visibly trembling. Then she set it down and looked up at me with desperate eyes. "Wait," she said. "This is not fair. You are blindsiding me." I almost laughed. "I am blindsiding you? You were literally walking through that door to serve me divorce papers without any warning, planning to take half of a house you never paid for. But somehow I am the one being unfair?" "That is different," she said, her voice getting defensive. "I am your wife. I have rights." My attorney pulled out another document. "Actually, let us talk about those rights. We have documented every financial transaction related to this marriage. The house down payment came from your husband's personal savings account that he opened 2 years before you got married. The closing costs were paid from the same account. His credit score alone qualified for the mortgage. His income alone supports the monthly payments." He spread out bank statements and financial records across the table. "Your contribution to this marriage has been approximately $400 per month toward groceries and utilities. That is it. You have never paid a mortgage payment, never contributed to home maintenance, never even paid for homeowner's insurance." She stared at the financial records like they were written in a foreign language. "But I gave up career opportunities," she said weakly. "I supported his ambitions. You work full-time at a marketing firm," I said. "What career opportunities did you give up? What ambitions did you support? You have never even asked about my work goals." The desperation in her eyes was growing. Her carefully planned ambush had turned into a complete disaster. "Look," she said, trying a different approach. "Maybe we can work this out. We do not need lawyers. We can go to counseling." "Counseling?" I repeated. "You spent 3 weeks lying to my face while secretly planning to destroy me financially, and now you want to work it out?" My attorney cleared his throat. "Mrs., we also have documentation of your meetings with divorce attorneys, your new bank account, and your communications planning this divorce. This was not a spontaneous decision. This was a calculated fraud attempt." Her face flushed red. "You had me followed." "We protected our client's interests," my attorney replied, "which was necessary given your deceptive behavior." She turned back to me with tears starting to form. "How can you do this to someone you love? How can I do this?" I said. "I am not the one who planned to ambush my spouse with divorce papers. I am not the one who spent weeks pretending to be happy while plotting behind their back. I am responding to what you already decided to do." She wiped her eyes and tried to pull herself together. That text message was just me being emotional. It did not mean anything, really. I pulled out my phone again. Should I call your sister and ask her about all those conversations you have been having? Should I contact the 3 different divorce attorneys you consulted with? Should we review your Google search history for the past 2 months? Her face went pale again. She had not realized how thoroughly I documented her deception. "You want to know what is really unfair?" I continued. "I actually loved you. I thought we were building something together. I was excited about our future, about this house, about the life we were creating. While I was planning our tomorrow, you were planning my destruction." The tears were flowing freely now, but I was not buying the performance anymore. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I made a mistake. People make mistakes." "This was not a mistake," my attorney said firmly. "This was fraud. Mistakes are accidents. This was months of deliberate planning." She looked at the post-nuptial agreement again, then back at me. "If I sign this, what happens to me?" "You get exactly what you contributed to this marriage," I said. "Your personal belongings, your car that you pay for, your 401k, your clothes, your jewelry, everything that is actually yours. But where will I live? That is not my problem anymore," I said. "You should have thought about that before you decided to blow up our marriage." She picked up the pen again and set it down. "This feels like extortion." My attorney laughed. "Extortion would be threatening to expose your fraud unless you pay us money. We are offering you a clean divorce with no fraud charges in exchange for not stealing property that does not belong to you. That is called mercy. Sign the document," I said, "or we go to court and let a judge decide. But I promise you, when that judge sees your text message and hears about your secret planning, you are going to wish you had taken this deal." She stared at me for a long moment. The woman I had married was completely gone, replaced by someone desperate and calculating. "You have changed," she said quietly. "You used to be kind. I used to be naive," I corrected. "I used to trust people who did not deserve it, but you taught me a valuable lesson about protecting myself." She finally picked up the pen and signed the document. Her signature was barely legible. Her hand was shaking so badly. "There," she said, sliding it back across the table. "Are you happy now?" I looked at the signed agreement, then back at her. "Happy? No, but I am protected. And after what you tried to do to me, that is more important than happiness. My attorney collected the documents and placed them back in his briefcase. We will file the divorce petition tomorrow morning. Given that both parties agreed to the terms, this should be finalized within 60 days. She stood up slowly, like she had aged 10 years in the past hour. I will get my things. Take your time, I said. But everything stays that belongs to the house. She nodded and walked toward the stairs. At the bottom step, she turned back to me. You know what the really sad part is, she said. I actually did love you once. Once, I repeated. But not enough to be honest with me, not enough to respect me, not enough to build something real instead of planning to destroy me. She did not have an answer for that. She went upstairs to pack her life into boxes while I sat at the kitchen table with the satisfaction of knowing that her betrayal had ultimately protected me from a much worse fate. 2 hours later, she came downstairs with 3 suitcases and a defeated expression. She had been crying, but I was not interested in offering comfort to someone who tried to destroy my financial future. I will be back this weekend for the rest of my things, she said quietly. Fine, but call first, I replied. And remember, furniture, appliances, anything that came with the house stays here. She nodded and headed for the door. At the last moment, she turned back for what it is worth. I really am sorry. Sorry you got caught, I said. Not sorry you tried to do it. She did not argue with that assessment. The front door closed behind her. And just like that, 4 years of marriage was over. My attorney packed up his briefcase. Well handled, he said. Most people would have lost their temper and made emotional decisions. You stayed strategic throughout the entire process. What happens now? I asked. We file a divorce petition tomorrow. Since she signed the postnuptial agreement, there will not be any property disputes. No alimony, since it was a short marriage and she works full-time. It should be finalized in about 8 weeks. After he left, I walked through the house alone. My house now, completely and legally mine. The kitchen where we had our final confrontation. The living room where she had pretended to plan our future. The bedroom where she had lied to me for weeks while plotting my destruction. The silence was actually peaceful. 3 weeks earlier, I had been a trusting husband about to get financially destroyed by someone I loved. Tonight, I was a single man who owned his home outright and had learned some valuable lessons about protecting himself. The divorce proceedings went exactly as my attorney predicted. She tried to contest the postnuptial agreement initially, but when her lawyer saw the evidence we had, he advised her to accept the terms. The text message, the documented meetings with other attorneys, the timeline of her deception, it all painted a picture of attempted fraud that no judge would have sympathy for. 8 weeks later, I received the final divorce decree in the mail. Officially single, with complete ownership of my house and no financial obligations to my ex-wife. 6 months after that, I was sitting on my back deck with a beer, watching the sunset through the trees in my backyard. The same backyard she had wanted to landscape as part of our future plans. The same property she tried to claim half ownership of through legal manipulation. My phone buzzed with a text message. For a split second, I wondered if it might be her, but it was just a friend asking if I wanted to grab dinner. I deleted her number months ago, blocked her on social media, cut off all contact completely. Some people believe in staying friends with ex-spouses, but when someone tries to commit fraud against you, friendship is not really an option. The funny thing is, her accidental text message was the best thing that ever happened to me. If she had been more careful with her communications, I would have walked into her ambush completely unprepared. I would have lost half my house, probably paid alimony, and spent years in expensive legal battles. Instead, her own carelessness gave me everything I needed to protect myself and turn her strategy against her. I learned some important lessons from the whole experience. First, trust is not something you give automatically just because you are married to someone. People are capable of incredible deception when money is involved. Second, documentation is everything. Screenshots, financial records, attorney consultations, all of it became crucial when the situation went legal. Most importantly, I learned that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones planning to hurt you the most. She had intimate access to my finances, my plans, my vulnerabilities. She used that access to plot against me while pretending to love me. But I also learned that I am tougher than I thought I was. When someone betrays you that completely, you have 2 choices. You can fall apart, or you can get strategic and protect yourself. I chose strategy, and it saved me from financial ruin. These days, I am careful about who gets access to my personal information. I keep my finances private. I pay attention to behavior patterns and inconsistencies. I am not paranoid, but I am definitely more aware. The house turned out to be a great investment. Property values in the neighborhood have gone up significantly. The same property she tried to steal half of is now worth considerably more than what I paid for it. Sometimes I wonder how her life turned out. Did she learn anything from the experience? Did she ever acknowledge to herself that what she tried to do was wrong? But mostly, I do not think about her at all. That accidental text message taught me that people will reveal their true intentions when they think no one is watching. She thought she was the smartest person in the room, carefully orchestrating my downfall. But her own carelessness exposed her plan and gave me the power to turn the tables completely. In the end, she got exactly what she deserved. Nothing. And I got exactly what I worked for. Everything. The moral of the story is simple. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And when they try to destroy you, make sure you are the one left standing when the smoke clears.